Hey everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to Clausematch's product demo webinar. My name is Amanda Brief. I'm our North American Marketing Director here at Clausematch, and I'm going to be kind of behind the scenes during today's webinar. Before we get started, I just wanted to quickly introduce today's agenda. So the first portion of it will obviously be the product demo. So that will run until approximately 11:20 a.m. Eastern. After that, we'll have time for Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the demo, please put them in the Q&A box and Justin will hopefully be able to address them at the end. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Justin Jayvor, our account executive here at Clausematch, who's going to run today's demo. Take it away, Justin.
All right. Hello, everyone out there who's viewing. Nice to sort of meet you over this demo, webinar here. Before I show you the product, I just want to, for those of you who maybe are unfamiliar with Clausematch or have never heard of us, or just we're looking for something along policy management, I just want to briefly share what we are as a platform. We are primarily a policy management platform where we're primarily going to provide you efficiencies within your compliance process around the editing, approval, and review of your internal policies, procedures. Can be used for other compliance documentation that you have, but that's really our sweet spot and what we focus our platform on trying to help you solve. We also are a central repository for you to store, edit, and access all compliance materials, particularly your policies, procedures, but potentially other compliance documents as well. And then ideally, we are the solution for you to cut additional platforms you may be using today. So for example, a lot of the folks that I work with typically are still using Word or Excel or SharePoint. Clausematch would encompass all of those platforms, which are really not purpose-built for the likes of yourselves, compliance professionals, and gives you one tool that gives you all of the features and functionalities that you really need. So with that, right before I share the screen here and show you the platform, I'm going to focus this demonstration on solving a few key areas that perhaps you out there are also facing and why you're interested in taking a look at us today. Something that we encounter with a lot of folks that are current clients that I deal with on a daily basis. So a few of those issues typically are our organizational policies are owned by each department. They're siloed. And as a compliance professional, I have no insight into seeing what they're doing, how they're following the regulations they need to be adhering to. And as a compliance professional, I would like to have one place where I can see everything that's going on. Typical scenario that encounters. There's usually also not a lot of standardization and structure around policies, and a lot of compliance professionals are looking for a good way to provide that structure and standardization. There's also a lot of times a fear around version control. Which version are we using? Which one is the right one? How many versions are there out there in our SharePoint or shared folder, network folder? So we have a way of solving that. What's the audit trail? Who did what, when, and where? Word and Excel and these things are not purpose-built for solving that. And as a compliance professional, those things are important. So we'll be covering that. How do I easily access the documents? Where do I find them? And then finally, our process for editing and approving and reviewing is taking maybe more than 2 weeks. If this sounds like you, it's taking 30 days or longer or anything more than 2 weeks. Our platform Clausematch has the way of through our workflow and templating to give you a way to reduce that quite heavily and give you a lot more efficiency. So those are the things we're going to focus on today. I'm going to show you our templates, our version compare, our audit trail, how we deal with workflow, and our policy portal, so you can see how you can solve some of those issues. And with that, let me share my screen and we'll get this going. Okay, well, I hope you all can see my screen. If you do not, feel free to let us know in the chat box there. And as I go through some of these things, showing you how we solve some of those issues I just mentioned, feel free to please put in some questions that we will address at the end of this quick demo webinar in about 15 to 17 minutes. And I'll try and address everything that you may have percolating on your mind if I don't cover it here in this brief presentation. So what are you looking at? You're looking at Clausematch's policy management platform. We have two modules in the overall software. The current one that you're looking at here, which is our policy management module, and then the policy portal, which I mentioned I'll also show you here momentarily. But I'm going to steal an analogy that one of our professional services team members likes to say. What you're looking at here is basically the kitchen versus the restaurant. The policy portal is the restaurant. That's where everybody goes to consume information, find what they need to find what they want to find, and then consume it and utilize it. But here is the kitchen, where most of you as compliance professionals are probably going to spend your time. Should you want to utilize our platform for those purposes? And this is where you're going to be doing all the editing, the reviewing, the approving, the finding of information you need to do the work that you need to do. So we're going to spend most of our time here in the webinar on this module, and then we'll move over to the policy portal. But what you're looking at here, just to lay of land, so you kind of understand what's going on, is up here at the top, we have our tabs. These tabs give you different views of information. So right now you see we're in the documents tab. This means you can find all the documents that you may need to go and find. Our compliance tab is a way for you to view how you've connected all of your documents and giving you a full bird's eye view of how you've organized your company from an organizational perspective. And then you can look at tags, some reporting. Our help functionality gets you to our support team and potentially some videos on how to do things in the platform. So this gives you an option there. But also, one key factor that you'll notice is that big blue buttons in the platform mean that you do something. So here at the top is a way for you to upload a document from scratch or to upload a Word doc file. In Clausematch, we primarily work with Word docs files. So we have our document editor, which you'll see here momentarily. And in order for that to work the best way, we typically want Word docs files up here. You can download something as a PDF or into an Excel file, but to get stuff going, you'd upload it as a docs file. And by doing so, you can attribute a template to that document, which I'm going to show you here in just a few seconds. But you'll notice that there are a lot of different ways for you to find your documentation. So here I'm currently in all documents, but you can see there are other categories here. You'll also notice that there's this kind of folder structure down in the bottom left. This gives you a nice way of classifying where you want your documents. And one way to deal with version control issues is that within Clausematch, you are able to have one document exist in multiple folders. That helps with knowing that somebody will not be working off some sort of a different version of that particular file, that they're always going to be utilizing the correct up-to-date version that you want them to be utilizing. But you can see here that I can break this down. And if you pay attention to what goes on here in the white space, as I click on one of the folders, you'll notice that only those documents appear for me. So one really easy way to go and break down and find the information you want. But we also have what I call the piece de resistance of our being able to find information is with our keyword searching, which utilizes some AI technology. So for example, a lot of you may be familiar with AML, anti-money laundering, something you might have to be dealing with. So I just type in AML, and you can see here that not only does it show me the keyword within the title of a document, but as I scroll through, it also shows me anti-money laundering. It understands AML stands for that, and it'll show me every instance in this particular document where that phrase exists. And I can click very quickly click on that particular paragraph, and it'll take me directly to that paragraph within the document so I can start working on it. So really important features for you to very quickly and easily find the information that you need to find, instead of having to go to SharePoint, find the folder, go to that folder, make sure that's the correct version of the Word file that you need to do, pull that one up. It creates things, makes that whole process a lot faster and easier. So let's go into a document now and take a look at templates and some of those other features I mentioned: version compare, audit trail, so on and so forth. So one important major factor of Clausematch is the ability to attribute a template, which is going to allow you to do a few things. And you can see here that this particular policy, global sanctions policy, is attributed to this group policy template. So this template is giving me the option to do a few things. One, it allows me to create a structure for how I want my documents to look. That's number one. It also gives me the ability to set permissions for who should have access So it gives me structure, it gives me accessibility. And here I can set what users have, what kind of access. And are they an owner of the policy? Are they just an editor? Are they a reviewer? They can only view it, maybe approve, reject things, things like that. It also gives me the ability to set what type of information I want to collect from the document. This is a huge factor with our metadata functionality. And you can see there are various different fields here that I've designated I want for information to be collected from this document. This is completely customizable, so you can set whatever metadata you want per template, per document, completely up to you. This is just an example that we've put together, but this helps when trying to find the information that you need to find very quickly, as I showed you previously in the keyword searching. So this is where you would set that information. So structure, accessibility, and information to be collected, and then also your workflow. So you, if that resonated with you, that hey, our process takes more than 2 weeks, takes 30 days, we're sending emails back and forth, and I gotta wait. As soon as I think our version's done, somebody else sends an email with their changes, and I gotta start all over. If this sounds familiar to you, then hopefully this workflow functionality will be of use to you. Again, this is completely customizable. This is just an example that we created based on this template. We have workflow processes that can be as simple as draft, review, and release. It's completely up to you. But this workflow gives you the ability to set what you want your workflow process to be for approving documentation. And at every stage, you can set a deadline for when this needs to be due. So I could set it for the end of January. And I'm also able to select who would be the receivers of information at this stage. So you can see I could set a few people here. And as soon as I moved this document from draft to review mode, France and Madison would automatically get an email saying that there's a document for them to review and things for them within that document to approve or reject to continue through the workflow process. So this gives you a nice structure and way to stay on top of a timeline that works best for you to get things done in the manner and way that you want to do it. And then finally, it gives you a way to categorize this document. So again, structure, accessibility, information collected, workflow, and a way to categorize your document. You can see, as I mentioned, this particular document exists in many different folders. And here's the nice thing about this. If I make a change to this document, that document in all of these folders is updated at the exact same time. So again, you always know you're working off the exact correct version that you want. You don't, a lot of people will hear, they'll say, if I want to make a change to a document, I have to make the document change in this folder. Then I got to go to folder C, pull the document out there, make the change there, put that back, go back to folder F, pull it out the same document to folder F, make the same changes, put it back. That takes a lot of time. This right here solves that entire situation. And when you make one change, it filters and cascades down to every single folder where that document exists. So this is templates, again, giving you the ability to set your structure for standardization, accessibility, who should have permission rights to see this document, what information do I want to easily collect so I can find it very quickly, what workflow do we have to do our approval process, and where are we categorizing this so I can easily go and find that information within the platform. This is the power of our templates. So moving quite along here, what you're looking at now is our document editor. Hopefully it looks and feels like Word. If my guess is you're probably using Word quite a bit. So hopefully you see a lot of similarities. You can see up here, we've got the basic functionality you would get in Word. It hopefully has the same kind of look and feel, but you're going to get a lot of additional bells and whistles with our platform that you're not going to get in Word or, Word docs, the Google version of Word. They just are not purpose built for folks like yourself, compliance professionals. So what are a few things that are of interest? Well, I can also very quickly have a table of contents pinned here and quickly go to any particular point in the document I want to find. So that's really nice. One other thing you'll notice is that there's an additional toolbar of nifty things that I have here, which I'm going to cover in just a moment. But as I kind of scroll through, you can see that I have this structure of this policy set out. Now, let me, one thing that's very important that I mentioned was audit trail. What has been going on in this document? Who's made changes? What has been going on from version to version? Well, that's one of the options here on our tool belt over here. And one you can see is document activity, which gives you a full record of everything that has happened within this document. You can also see what approvals are pending at the document or at a paragraph level. But this gives you that full audit trail to know everything that's been going on. And you'll also notice these little tab marks at each individual paragraph. This shows you a very quick synopsis of what has gone on just in this paragraph. There's been a new comment made, some edits, there's been some change connections. So within our document editor, compared to Word, you get so much more information at your fingertips. You can know what's been going on within this document as you're going through your review and drafting process, okay? So not only can I see everything from a high level at the full document level, but if I click on a paragraph, I can also see the next option in our tool belt, all the paragraph activity that's been going on. And you can see everything. Look, even I've made some changes here. So there's a lot of things that are going on. Again, you can really get granular. So when those auditors, or if you're part of an exam and you need to show what's been going on, why you made a particular change to a paragraph in a policy because of a regulation change, here is where you can reference it. It's very important, and it's very difficult with general tools, again, like Word and Excel. So we give you this functionality so you can easily go access it, even break it down by a particular user, a day. Everything is right at your fingertips. One thing that you'll notice, I'm going to scroll down here, is I like to come to the bottom where nobody's messed around with stuff, but you'll notice here that if I make a particular change, so let's say I want to add a paragraph, and let's say it's always harder to type when you have people watching, right? Okay, so let's say this is the change I wanted to make. You can see as soon as I make any changes, it automatically gets listed here in the paragraph, and then also here in the document activity. So in real time, whatever you do is going on. I can also collaborate with people in real time. And let's maybe ask Madison to say, I can send that off. And what's going to happen is Madison's going to get an email saying that she needs to check this out with a link, takes her directly to this paragraph. And you can see we can have a conversation in real time going back and forth about how to deal with this. So that's your audit trail. Now let's say, you know what, that's all well and good, Justin. I appreciate that. But what do I do if I've got a former version? How do I go and check that? Well, thanks for asking. You can see that there's this button here you really can't miss. It says compare versions, right? So you hit this, and this is what this particular versioning is going to do, is show you the current version you're looking at versus an older version. So let's just click on version 1.5. One thing you're going to notice here is it's going to show you all of the edits that have occurred. There have been 39 edits from version 1.5 to version 2.1 here. So I can just quickly scroll through, and it'll show me all the things that have been added, that have been striked, any connections that have been made or changed. And you can scroll through and see all those things and then verify them here in the audit trail. There's also one other way of doing version history in our handy dandy version history there. This is going to give you the ability to view older versions, not just the most current version, but maybe I could want to do version 1.6 to version 1.3. So this might be useful if you bring on a new employee and you want to get them fully caught up to speed. They want to come in here and see what has happened over the life history of this document, and you can go to older versions and review. There's only been 2 changes from these 2 versions. And again, you have the same functionality. So again, this gives you a really good way for you and your team to always know what's going on with our audit trail and our version compare, and the workflow and everything else. So those are the main things I wanted to cover in the policy management module that are things we typically encounter from most of our current clients and people we speak with on a daily basis. Again, how do we create standardization? Well, you can have the templates that give you the ability to set that standardization, the permission access, and also a good way to categorize where we need everything and set those workflows for making sure we cut the time down in our process. But now let's say we've gone through that entire process, and where does it go and sit? Where does everybody else in the company have the ability to go and access that information when we've released a new policy and released a new change? Well, that is going to be in our policy portal. So over the next couple of minutes here, I just want to briefly show you this and show you the other module of our platform that everybody else in your company may end up utilizing. This is the policy portal. You'll notice that the functionality and look and feel is very similar to the policy management module, right? You have over here on the left, you have your tab bar at the top. You have your, on the left-hand side here, the same folder structure with documentation that you can quickly narrow down. So it's exactly the same look and feel, and additional ways here to categorize your documents. And again, another good way to quickly look for information based on keyword searching as well. So very easy, simple ways to go and find the information you're hoping to go find for everybody else. Now, one quick question, thing that I'll answer. Individuals in your company will only be able to access and find the information that they will have access and permissions to find, right? And that was set in those templates based in the permissions folder. So for example, if you utilize this for your compliance and legal team, you on your compliance and legal teams might have access to all of the documents within your organization. But the IT team and the IT folks would only be able to see the policies and procedures that pertain to the IT department. You can set this up in any way that you want within the platform and in your instance of our platform, but you have that control and administrative rights to do that. Now, the policy portal does a lot of different things. You can see we have, and I'm obviously looking at this from an admin perspective, so I have some additional things of what documents are already available and ready to be published. And if I come into a document here, I can kind of see some things that it affords me is the ability to publish and set this so that everybody in our organization can view this particular document, or I can give this to only a few people. I can set who has access to view this in the portal. It also gives me the ability to set attestations. So here gives me the ability to add a deadline for a particular day when this needs to be reviewed and accepted by, and here I can add all of the users that would need to fill this out and attest to it. It also gives me a way to see any documents I've connected to it. So this is the policy, maybe there are procedures associated to it. Any other additional related content you've connected to the document is viewable. And there's also a way to do a Q&A. So people can actually send questions to you, say, hey, why is this policy in this paragraph written this way? It doesn't really pertain to our department. And then you can answer, go back and forth. So there's a lot of additional features built into the documents as well, so that you can do your attestations and also learn from your employee base why things are this way, what are they looking at, so on and so forth. And the last thing I'll show here in the portal is just on our attestation side. So if you pull up a document, I'm going to go to our document that we were looking at. You can pull this up, and this will, as you scroll all the way down. Oh, excuse me. You scroll all the way down, and you'll have this. Your folks will have the ability to create this check mark and then click confirm, showing that they've attested to the policy and read all the changes that have occurred. There's also some additional reporting around seeing who has attested, who's viewed the document, when did they attest, was it late, so on and so forth. But for the most part, this is the functionality of the portal to give your staff and employees the ability to find the policies and procedures that you have published and have said are the correct versions that everybody should be working off of. So with that, I know I went a couple of minutes over showing you a little bit more information on our platform, but I'm happy to send this back over to Amanda and see what questions we might have and what I can answer for you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Justin. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box now, but I'll address some of the questions that we have right now. So one question is around attachments. Can you only upload Microsoft document files, or can you upload videos and things like that?
Right. So good question. As I mentioned, in our platform, you can really only upload a Word file into the platform to start working on it, but you will have the ability to download that document as a PDF, as an Excel file. This also does not limit you within a Word document in our document editor to add an image or a table or something else within the document. But for the purposes of working in our platform, it needs to be a docs file.
Yeah, no problem. Another question is around pricing. Can you walk through how pricing within Clausematch works?
Sure. So if you found this valuable and you want to spend some more time with us and go through our process, the way our platform works is typically by a user license per user model. And then we would work with you to figure out who needs the ability to edit documents, who just needs to review the document, maybe approve and reject things, and who are a policy portal user, who just needs to go and find the documents once you've released it. So that's typically how we base our user and licensing, and we would figure out with you what makes the most sense. But it's by a per user license model.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. So let me open up the Q&A box. Someone asked, is the system hosted in the cloud or on a client's mainframe?
Wow, good question. This is a SaaS solution, so this would be in the cloud. This is not an on-premise solution. You don't have to host this on your servers. Let's let Amazon deal with that. We are backed by AWS, so we'll deal with it there. Good question. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. All right. I think with that, we're going to wrap up today's demo. Thank you, Justin, for giving a great high level overview of Clausematch. And for everyone who attended, we'll be sending out a follow-up email with the recording so that you can share with your colleagues and watch again if you want. However, if you do want a custom one-on-one sales call with Justin or one of our other colleagues, feel free to go to our website and book a demo from our forum. So with that, thank you again, Justin, and thank you everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.